Gustav is abandoning his ideals.
Yes. Yeah.
And she is maintaining them, although she occasionally diverts for her scientific explorations. But in this case, the individual you care about is not as important as doing what we're meant to do according to protocol.
Yeah.
And he uses one of the protocol against her.
I loved this a lot.
Which I thought was great.
Okay. The best part about this is the fact that it presents the exact thing we talked about in the prologue and that we will talk about 100 times in this podcast, which is there is no compromise. There is no middle ground between following the protocol and staying at the... I'm sorry. What's it called? The indigo? The indigo tree. There is no compromise between staying at the indigo tree and going out to find Mael.
Yeah.
You can't... I guess you could go halfway to Mael, and then you just do neither.
Yeah, that's not really doing
That's
anything.
called bowling a 7-10 split right down the middle. You miss both.
Accomplish nothing.
You accomplish neither. You can't do both.
Hello, welcome back to the State of the Ark podcast. My name is Mike.
My name's Kason.
This is episode 2 of our Clair Obscur Expedition 33 story analysis podcast series. Thank you for joining us. We left off at the end of the prologue and beginning of Act 1 last time, but before we jump into that scene, like the beach landing and the massacre that happens there, there's something we were kind of talking about before we started the show.
Yeah.
And there's a part of us that's hesitant to jump into it because we still don't necessarily have a clear idea of what's like actually going on. That's not as much the important thing because I'm sure we will get an answer to that from someone in the comment section. Episode 1 is going live minutes after we start recording episode 2. So
it had to be this way.
I'm sure there will be like an answer. So I'm not concerned about that. That's part of the discussion element of our book club style podcasts.
Right.
But the reason I want to talk about it is because you picked up on something that I think is really cool that we should keep in mind for later in the game. So we were discussing, the whole sun thing, which we were kind of confused about last time.
Is that the sun? Is it an eclipse?
Is there more than one sun? Is there one sun that's always eclipsed? Or does the sun not move beyond that eclipse? Is that just what it is during daytime or whatever? You were going through some footage, and it appears you can look up in the sky and see the sun.
The sun is
at
there.
Times.
And it is not whatever that massive light source behind the paintress is. That is not the sun. The sun is up in the sky, and it's normal, and it's not eclipsed.
I looked up, or not looked up, I guess just re-listened to the speech from Emma at the end of the prologue as the expeditioners are heading out, where it's kind of like pumping you up or whatever. And she says something interesting at the end of that. She says, when you battle the paintress, know that Lumiere fights with you. Let the stones of her monolith crumble. That's where the eclipse is happening, the monolith. So let the stones of her monolith crumble. Let her body lie at the end of the world, unable to paint another death. Let the stars no longer be hidden by her oppressive silhouette. Let the world once again watch the sun rise without the shadow of her cursed figure. So my thought was that perhaps the sun, every sunrise is blocked by that monolith.
Okay, so it's not the sun that's always blocked, but the sunrise rises over her monolith.
Right. So my thought was it was the morning of the day of the Gamage. She's going to paint the number for this year, the 33. And it's a large monolith, so it just takes the sun a long time to get above that monolith and become unsilhouetted.
Okay.
That being said, you notice that there might be some problems with that.
Well, if you just, like when Gustav is throwing rocks and things are not looking sunsetty the way they do when the Gamage happens, the sun appears to be in the same place. And so where's the sunsetness coming from? And also, you look at the monument, and if you look up and to the right, like 45 degrees, there's a sun in the sky, and it's a normal sun, and it's a circle, and it's shining light and casting shadows. So there's 2 suns and 2 moons or something like that.
Yeah.
It's really confusing. At the very least, that is a powerful light source. Remember in our journey episode, I pointed out kind of at the beginning, there is the mountain and a light source in the mountain, and the sun is somewhere else.
Yeah.
They're purposefully showing that this light source on the mountain is separate from the sun. It's not just that the sun's there. It's its own. It's a different, distinct light source.
Right.
That could be what's happening here. One of the most interesting things I've noted about it, though, is the way that the light seeps in on the edges. The light, it's not a perfect eclipse with a circle in the middle and the light around it kind of beaming on all sides, or at least equally in different, textures.
Yeah, what do they call it? The corona?
The corona.
Around the outside of it is not like equal. It's sort of off-centered.
It's off-centered. Yeah. And the off-centeredness of that gives the subtle hint of a crescent, that if we take this to be the sun, which it might be, or it might not be, then it is a crescent sun. On the right side, the sun shines through a lot better than the other side. It appears to be a crescent sun. And the only reason why this is important to note is because when you look up at the moon during the nighttime, the moon looks really wild in this world. It does not look like our moon. And to the extent that it has phases at all, they are subtle phases, and you can see the dark side extremely well. Like it basically, it is a full moon all the time. You're always seeing the whole circle of the moon. And the sun is a crescent. Mm-hmm. Well, that's strange now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what could that be saying? How is the symbolism between the moon and sun flipped? Assuming that's the sun. And once again, maybe there's two suns, maybe there's two moons. We're going to, as we keep playing the game, I'm going to make a very conscious effort to be looking around all the time. Where's the moon? Where's the sun? Where's the other moon and the other sun? And especially on the beach landing, which we're going to get into right now. That crescent
the
that appeared to be behind the
really
paintress,
crazy here.
It's up in the air now. But it's nighttime. So yeah, I'm a little confused as to exactly what's happening in this world. I like it a lot. But when I'm trying to read the symbolism, it's like, okay, it's a little difficult to read sometimes.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll keep looking into that. That's not something that I ever even thought to look into during my first playthrough of the game, or second. But I am interested now. So, we'll look for journals. We'll look for additional information.
Anyone who says the word moon or sun, just Control F, get into the source code of the game.
Try to get that figured out. But I think you're onto something with the crescent sun symbol.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Because whether it's the sun or not, it is a sun-ish thing.
Yeah.
But it's in the form of a crescent. And I have a lot to say about that, but it won't come probably until the end of the game.
Till later.
Yeah.
All right. So we got to the end of last episode, and we kind of started hinting at our feelings about this beach landing scene and how freaking crazy it is.
Yeah.
I want to get a little bit more into that now. What I really loved about just the whole intro of the game, the whole prologue leading into this scene, is how much of a sort of a dynamic movement they have to the emotions they're trying to instill in
I
you
love that
as
you
the
brought
player.
that up last time.
Yeah, it's really, really well done where you're starting a new game. Generally, you have feelings of excitement about that. Okay, let's see what this is all about. This is cool. Oh, wow. Really beautiful imagery. Whoa, really interesting premise. Oh, my goodness. Devastating scene with the death of Sophie and on all the people in Lumiere there, and so well executed as a sequence. And then they kind of lighten that with the little sequence after that. I don't know if you call it a party necessarily, but where all the expeditioners are getting ready, they're all drinking, getting ready to go the next day. Then they kind of pump you up with the speech, and you're already feeling motivated to put an end to this horrible thing that is going on in this world. And then the second that your feet touch the sand on the continent, this man comes out, which is already in and of itself a fascinating mystery.
Yeah.
Because they've done this great job of showing you no one over the age of 33 is alive in this world.
Yeah, no human. Yeah,
no human being of that age or older is alive now, except this guy who comes out and is clearly about 50 to 60 years old, somewhere in that range. And I don't know if you'd call him the leader of the expedition, the captain, I forget his name.
Oh, yeah.
He's like whoa, like, how did you survive the Gamage? I think the first thing he says is, you're old. It's just
you're
like such a surprise.
Old. It's almost like a rude insult, right?
Yeah.
But it's just like they're fascinated by this.
Yeah.
It's very intriguing. I did not see this coming at all.
No, me either.
Because he's just looking at them almost with a look of pity on his face. You just look at him and he just is like, he's not angry or anything, but he's there and he's like, well, I got a job to do. I'm going to do it. And in the swiftest move, just with his cane, boom, cuts the guy's head off.
Yep.
And that shock, like even as the person playing the game, because everyone is shocked, right? For the first, the body falls, the head falls. Everyone's like, what do we do? And then slowly somebody's like, retreat, fall back. And then everything really starts to go crazy. Everyone starts running away. But even as the game player, it's like, was that supposed to happen?
Yeah.
Like what are we up against here? This is wild. I thought we were meeting a rendezvous. This is a thing. Like, no, that was entirely unexpected. And then what he did was even more unexpected than just the fact that he exists, right?
Yeah.
Like, why is he doing this? And then just like the beginning of Saving Private Ryan kind of scene shows up and just explosions everywhere. Everyone is dying. And Gustav is shell-shocked, like completely shell-shocked. And it's wild because at first he faints, but then when he wakes up, it's still bad. Nope, it's not over.
It wasn't a dream.
Everyone is trying so hard to help him too. And everyone who is helping him is dying by helping him, basically.
Yeah.
Like they're up, Gustav, come on, let's go. Boom, they're dead. And Gustav's still standing. Like, oh, what? He's just at a loss for what to do.
Yeah.
So finally they hide behind the rock and then these like ghostly... The enemy design, this is probably a good time to talk about that too. The enemy design is so good. The hand creature that shows up.
Yep.
There are several enemies in the game that use that hand motif, and it's real. Every time I see it, it's really creepy. Kind of reminds me of Smash Brothers, like the deformed, the demented hand that's like just trying to break things and stuff.
Yeah, it reminds me of why do I always forget the name of this movie? I mean, literally every time I try to think about it, it's Guillermo del Toro's, the one we
Pan's Labyrinth?
Pan's Labyrinth.
Oh.
the monster with the hands on his
that's right.
eyes.
Oh my gosh, that was so creepy.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that a little bit.
But anytime, like the creativity on display here with the monster design is off the charts. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Because you see what almost looks like a skinny-legged, like a tall, weirdly disproportioned man in a cloak. And then when the cloak opens, it's just these hands. And the way they move, too. It's almost like a stop-motion, like really, really fast, super, like, twitchy kind of thing. Like almost like they're skipping frames. Like it's moving at a slower frame rate, but incredibly quickly. And the wildest thing about all of it is when Gustav wakes up in this like serene garden, this beautiful green, lush, flower-filled valley, basically. And like, was that first off, was that real? Whatever just happened, was that even real? Second off, why are we not just dead? Why did Gustav not just die there? He's alive. Well, if Gustav's alive and these hand things killed a bunch of other dudes, maybe some of them are around too, would be like kind of the guess. But for whatever reason, it seems those guys are all dead and Gustav is still alive. And like, why? Why would he still be alive? What, did the thing like drop him on its way to, bring him somewhere? He's not where they were on the landing. Something picked him up and moved him somewhere else and then left him there. And now he's awake, right? So he is super confused, but he's alone, completely alone. And this moves us kind of into a like tutorial-ish type part of the game. We fought with Mael twice now, and depending on how you played the prologue, you could have fought, there's like a mime kind of guy who is wearing the same clothes as Mael, by the way.
Yeah.
Just interesting. All the mimes in the game are dressed in that exact same way, the exact clothes that Mael was wearing, although some of them have like sunglasses and stuff. It's kind of funny. But depending on how you played it, you could have done more. There's like a dance thing you can do with Sophie. There's the guy painting, and he's like, "Oh, I need some inspiration." You learn how to do dodges that way.
I meant to bring this up last time, actually. I never got an answer to this, even looking it up.
Yeah.
Sophie was wearing the same clothes as the dancers on the stage.
Oh, yeah.
In Lumiere.
Was she one of them? Well, I think...
I don't know.
So
I don't know
I feel
why.
like somebody mentioned...
Because Ciel was up there. Ciel, who is one of the Expeditioner characters, she was up there like at the front of the stage doing the little dance and the fireworks show.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know why they're all dressed exactly the same as Sophie. I don't know if Sophie was supposed to be a part of that or if she was maybe. I literally don't know. I couldn't find an answer, but I thought it was interesting.
There's a memory happening that I can't remember if it's from this game or from something else where he says, "Oh, a member." No, it is. Oh, it is from this game. It is from this game, and it is in Act 1, and it's about CL, I think.
Yeah.
Where he says, "Oh, a member of the something dance team," and she smiles and says, "Oh, that was a long time ago."
Yes.
That wasn't
CL,
Sophie.
So CL
that was CL, not Sophie.
Was part of that dance group at the beginning. Yeah.
And Sophie may have also
maybe she was or was supposed to. Maybe she had done it earlier. Maybe they go in shifts. I have no idea. They have understudies. I don't know.
There was something very Japanese feeling about that, by the way, about just putting up the stage and having a coordinated dance to celebrate whatever festival of the day. Something felt kind of Japanese about that, actually. Maybe a little less French and a little more Japanese. But yeah, maybe it's just like a band T-shirt. She just dresses like them because she's a fan.
Don't know. Have no idea.
Who knows?
Just noticed it, and I was like, "That's interesting. I wonder why." And I never figured out why. But.
So there's a few mysteries that happen when Gustav starts running away at the beach, and he's running away. And he faints the first time and wakes up. He starts like pounding his chest.
Yeah,
right, and then he runs and hides behind a rock.
Yeah.
Then he passes out again, and he wakes up. And immediately, once again, he starts pounding.
He starts
so there's 2 times where he's like doing
got
this.
some kind of
pounding
heart
his chest.
issue.
Yeah. There's something weird going on there. Might have been contributing to the blackouts as well. But he's also entirely covered in blood. Blood that is probably mostly not his. Yeah. And he is just completely covered. But the thing that I would want to know.
Well, that being said, I did find it interesting. This is a nice place where gameplay can kind of tie into telling a story. He is at like 1 HP.
Oh, that's true.
So he's like really hurt, and this is where they tutorialize that you can hold down the Y button, I think, to use the chroma elixirs to heal.
You can only
and you
do
have like
so
a
many.
limited number of them.
Yeah, but they replenish at at the flags and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's probably true that he is actually physically like harmed, and some of that blood is likely his own. So.
But also, people were getting killed literally right in front of his face.
Yeah.
So, the most interesting thing to note at this stretch of the tutorial part of the game is that when he finds a monster, he's still motivated to fight it. He shows up and he's like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know where everyone is, but I'm still alive. Maybe they are too. So I am going to keep doing my best. I'm no longer paralyzed by the shock of what I've seen. Time to fight, right? So we see this, why in the world did I just forget what they're called?
Oh, the name of the enemy?
It's an N.
Nevron?
Nevron, yeah. He sees a Nevron. And he's like, all right, let's do this. He gets his sword out, and it's like, boom, yeah, more tutorial fighting stuff. He's like probably the easiest enemy you'll fight in the game. But he's got a slightly like hesitant when he goes to attack you. You think he's about to attack, and then he does it.
They
you
mess
have to
with
read
you on the timing.
Yeah.
Before we jump into this, because I think it is a very cool aspect of the game, though it is a bit divisive depending on what kinds of mechanics you like in your turn-based combat. There's a couple things about the beach that I wanted to note really quickly. So, first of all, I really like, again, the dynamics of how they're playing with your emotions as the player through the point of view of Gustav. If you go back to some of the conversations he had in Lumiere at the little party the night before, I can't remember which character asks him, like, are you ready for this? Don't remember if it was the captain guy or somebody else, but somebody asks him, like, are you ready to, like, are you really ready for this? And Gustav, without hesitation, says, yes, I've been ready. The way he talks about wanting to go on this expedition, even with Emma, gives the impression they argued about this for a long time and that he has been dedicated to it for a long time. Yeah. He knew he wanted to do it. I wonder if, and I don't know, or I would not expect there to be an answer to this necessarily, but I wonder, since he broke up with Sophie 4 years ago, if he gave up on the idea of having children at that point, because that was the source of their contention, the reason they broke up.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it was like, okay, I'm going to go be an expeditioner, right?
Oh, now he decided. Yeah, that's possible.
That's like, okay, that's going to be my purpose. She mentioned there's more than one way to leave a legacy,
Yeah.
and this was going to be his.
Yeah.
And that
It's possible
those are
that
the
he
words.
inherited that.
Those are the words
after.
of somebody who understands this is important
Right.
to this person I loved, and I'm acknowledging what you're doing is important. Right. Like, you are going to leave the legacy. This is something that is important to you. Leaving a legacy is important to you, and this is how you're going to do yours, and I'm supporting that.
So that was a very compassionate thing she did for him.
Yeah, it's actually really great. It's a real act of love.
It was, especially since she doesn't agree with the expeditions.
Yes.
And
a lot of other people don't.
Right.
Yeah.
But yet she sewed him his coat that he's going to wear on the expedition. She stitched in the 33.
Yeah.
She, like decorated it, and she knows it's important to him. And even if she doesn't agree with it, she's going to give it. She's going to do her best to, for what he cares about.
Yeah. And so he feels totally prepared. Has done a ton of study,
that's right?
Right?
So is Lune and all of them. They feel so prepared.
You have a whole mini game in which it's obviously kind of silly because the questions asked by the guy who asked the trivia are really basic, easy questions, which the purpose of which is to inform the audience.
Yeah.
So this would be, as you know, dialogue, but it's
yeah.
done in a way that is self-aware and in a way that's kind of funny,
Right.
and in a way in which the rival character is sort of just conceding because the two of them were scholars of the expeditions, right? So they were trying to decide who is like the more knowledgeable scholar about previous expeditions. And this was the other guy's way of sort of conceding to him in their last meeting. You are the true, most knowledgeable scholar for today since you're going to leave tomorrow. And then I will be after you're gone.
Yeah.
But so Gustav has studied the expeditions for as far as everything they know currently about them.
Yeah.
He has developed technology that is meant to be giving them an edge on this expedition. He has outwardly stated he is prepared and has been. He's ready for this.
Right.
And as much time and effort and dedication as he has put in to preparing for this, the second they touch down, they are almost all entirely massacred.
Yeah.
This was something he did not expect.
Right.
Something they could not have possibly expected, and they almost all died.
Right.
As far as he knows, they did. He's like the only survivor.
And also at this point, as far as he knows, this is what has happened to every expedition since the first one. You touch ground, you all die, and no one ever makes it anywhere, ever. And that's not true as you keep going further, but it's like you can see Gustav. I could see Gustav thinking that. We never had a chance. We never had a chance. And I've been living my whole life thinking I did.
Yeah. I mean, to think of how devastating that is, first of all, to have prepared for that long, that hard, be that dedicated to something,
and to be that good at it,
that unprepared.
Yeah.
Has got to just be an emotional, mental blow that in itself is almost worse than the physical part of it.
Yeah, I think
just so devastating how totally out of your control this all is, and how much you had hoped that there was something you could do. So there's not only that element, which I think sinks in more as you're beginning to go through. Because as you're talking about, he comes across battles and he's fighting, but as
he seems eager too. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to get revenge now. I'm going to fight you, Nevrons." As
he continues to walk through, you're just seeing just piles of bodies.
That's the point.
Of previous expeditions.
Yeah. So this is what I'm saying, that he still has a will to fight as he goes in, but as he slowly realizes, because it's like, well, if I'm alive, maybe some of these other guys are alive too. As he gets to the point where he finds them, where he sees that they're all dead, that's when he's like, oh, I am the only one left, basically. And that's when he finally completely loses hope. And he's like, even if there was a Nevron, he's just like just kill me. I don't care. But he was fighting them before because he didn't know what had happened to all his comrades. But when he goes into that cave, that's when all hope is lost at that point.
Yeah.
because he's been pretty well demoralized. But hey, maybe someone out there still has hope. I'll keep fighting for them. And oh, they're dead. Now I got nothing to fight for.
Yeah. It's amazing how quickly, I mean, in terms of minutes, gameplay-wise,
it's like
you
5,
go from
6
being
minutes.
pumped and full of hope as they are sailing, and that rousing music is playing, and that speech is being read about the stones of the monolith crumbling and leaving the paintress's body at the end of the world.
And then the stars. And we'll see the stars again. Which stars symbolize hope, because you wish upon a star, right?
Yep.
It's like, that's the hope. Those are the ideals.
The sunrise again. That's the
right.
new beginnings, the birth of a new future.
Yeah.
All of this hope for the future crushed, utterly trampled on within seconds of touching down to where there is no hope at all.
Yeah, that's wild. That's really good.
Crazy.
And then as soon as you're getting some hope back and Gustav's fighting, it's destroyed again once you see all the bodies.
Yeah.
And they're chroma, by the way. It's and I guess they didn't really know what would happen. The only people who really infuse their bodies with so much chroma are the expeditioners, and so I guess people didn't really realize that when you get killed by a Nevron, your body like solidifies. It turns into kind of like a statue of itself because of all the chroma.
It's not the same as death in Lumiere, where you just like turn into little flower petals and disappear. Yeah. Your body turns to stone, and you're just like dried out, basically.
So not only are you discovering they're dead, but they're frozen in the moment of their death. Yeah. And it's just so much worse. And not only that, he's seeing all the other expeditioner bodies too. Yeah. You can see all of them basically, and not only do you see them, they have been made into a screwed up like sculpture. That like there's this pattern in which the bodies have been arranged in order to give like some appearance of the attempt at beauty with all of these dead things by the Nevrons, who are like, oh, let's make something out of these bodies, right? Yeah. And it's just so horrific and grotesque. And that cave has a deep red kind of glow to it as well. So everything just feels really
it looks like there are almost tendrils coming down that are like sucking
like the
chroma out of some of the still like not completely turned to stone bodies. There's one of the expeditioners there who's not yet like totally petrified or whatever.
Right, petrified. That's a good word.
He kind of sits down next to her.
Yeah, he's just sitting down with them too, and he's just like, I'm gonna join you all, basically. Yeah. So this is the moment where Gustav.
But real quick, before we go to that, because that's a huge moment. So
well, it's like the real bottom. They keep giving us a new bottom, loss of hope, loss of hope, loss of hope. And I love that you've pointed that out. It is so dynamic in that way.
Yeah, it's great. But another thing to take note of is that on the beach scene, among the chaos, actually there's two elements I want to talk about. So the hope being crushed, but also I think, and I've spoken with a few people who have actually had like combat experience in like war. You just never know like whether you are psychologically prepared. I would argue basically nobody really is psychologically prepared for that.
Yes.
It has an effect on you, whether it shows very significantly with, you know, the symptoms of PTSD years and years and years after fact, or it doesn't, because it doesn't affect everyone the same way. But a lot of people, you just are not ready for when you see that kind of horrific violence and gore happening right before your eyes. And he freezes up. And this is a common response.
The people are shouting at him too, like, move, man, do something. Yeah. And he's just like in a daze.
Yeah. And this is, you know, this need not only apply, I think, to like war or combat or violence. There's all kinds of trauma on the whole spectrum to the degree to which you experience it, where there are just certain people that have that trauma response, a freezing up. A deer in the headlights, you know, deer, they look and they see they can't move. They're paralyzed.
They don't know what to do.
They don't know what to do. I mean, clearly they have the athleticism to jump out of the way or something.
In a split second.
But the fear and just like that rush of whatever happens freezes you up.
It's the the prey response.
Yes.
It's fight or flight, basically.
Yes.
Well, actually, no, it's fight, flight, or stay still and hope it doesn't see you.
The reason I'm bringing this up is to say, like, you can apply this to more than just like combat experience. But I've talked with people with combat experience. I've talked with other people, lots of people with many different types of trauma in the line of work that I'm in. I do a lot of interviews and things like that.
That's right.
Videography, documentary, filmmaking stuff. And to see the response, so many different responses to this kind of trauma. And again, there's a wide range here. Not everyone's going to freeze up like that.
Right.
There are some people who really lean into it and, like get a rush from it. It's a really different kind of response, But Gustav's response is one in which he freezes up. Like and this is huge because he's the guardian of Mael. Mael is lying there on the ground unconscious.
Right. Yeah.
And he cannot even get himself up to go over and try to help.
Right.
He's so paralyzed by what's going on, so surprised by it, so not prepared in the way that he had thought he was, that I really loved that they threw that line in there. I am prepared and have been. And he totally wasn't, not even close.
Yeah.
And that's the way it goes a lot of times in things in life. And we've talked about this a lot in previous podcasts. You think you can plan for every contingency, and you literally never can.
You just can't.
You can't.
Yeah.
Some wrench, something that you didn't see coming will happen. And what is your ability to respond to changing circumstances is really more
That's
what
more
preparedness means.
Yeah.
How flexible, adaptable are you to when chaos arrives?
Yeah.
And how well can you stay calm and problem solve on the fly in a chaotic moment is true preparedness, not all the other things. Not that those things aren't important. Obviously, combat training will prepare you muscle memory-wise
muscle
for
memory,
combat.
that's a big one, yeah.
So I'm not saying like that kind of preparedness isn't important. I'm just saying it's not nearly as important as your ability to adapt.
Yeah.
Your mind being clear, you having some level of control there when things get crazy and you're feeling afraid. Yeah. So that's crazy. But also, Mael is picked up by somebody.
Yeah, somebody else
in the midst of this chaos and lifts her and takes her away.
Right.
So you can't see it super clearly, but Gustav is looking at this happen. He's watching someone else walk in, pick up this child, he's supposed to be the guardian, charge, that's the word I was looking for, and take her away, and he can't do anything. Yeah. So there's a lot of guilt associated with that, and these things are in his mind as he's going through towards this pinnacle moment coming up. And now I'll pass it back to you for that, because you were about to talk about that.
So now there is no hope in any way for anything. The best he can possibly do is pick up a rock and try and throw it at the paintress again. Yeah. Like, he's been reduced. He finally thought, remember, he was like, pretty soon we'll get to do a lot more than throw rocks.
Not much more.
No.
Well, they do, but like it doesn't seem like it right now.
The game continues. This isn't the end of the game.
Yeah.
But at the moment he's just like, even throwing rocks is futile, right? And I mentioned before, he's the kind of guy who never gives up hope. Well, he has finally given up hope. And so he pulls out a gun, which only does like 12 damage. I'm just kidding. This is how games work. Games do this.
If you didn't technically use...
If you keep going...
The chroma elixir, he was at 1 HP.
Oh,
when
fair
he
enough.
Arrived, he was like limping around.
But to fight the enemies, you gotta heal up a little.
It is what it is.
So and headshots do a little more damage.
They do. They do pretty good damage, actually.
Yeah, they do. They do. So, anyways, not to make light of the moment, it was I felt really awful for Gustav, and these are the kinds of things where it's like, oh, don't do that, man, don't do that. But deep inside, you're like, I know why. I know exactly why he's doing this, and I don't know what I would do in his position.
Yeah.
But playing the game, it's like, don't do it. And then right before he's about to pull the trigger, he hears the voice of, if you do that, we both die. Mm-hmm. Because the whole point is, no one is going to be able to do this alone. Right?
Yes.
And so if Gustav kills himself, if any other survivors do happen to exist, which he's lost hope on, but he didn't look at every face to make sure that everyone he knew is dead, I wouldn't either. The shock and horror of the situation is enough for me to have probably lost hope. But what he should have done, quotes, is check each, feel the pulse of every, make sure that, and touch all of your friends' faces and make sure that they're all actually dead, and get your list out and check mark, okay, what about CL? What about Luna? What about, okay,
Yes,
they're all
right.
dead now. That's the rational faculty that is just completely disposed of in these types of moments, where it's just like, I've seen enough. I've seen enough to know that everyone's dead, and I don't want to, look into the eyes of all the people I used to know and love.
Yeah.
I'd rather not have that be my last experience on this world. So, but, had he done that, he would have discovered, oh, Luna's not here. Wonder where she is. Maybe she's still alive, and he could have kept going. But instead, he just hears the voice. If you do that, we both die, because she, I guess, would also assume that he's the only other person alive other than her. And so she somehow wandered around and found her. I don't know how they aren't dead at the moment, but they aren't. And Gustav immediately kind of drops the gun. He knows what's happened, and he feels really embarrassed. Really, I can't believe I was about to do that. That's not something that I would do. And Luna feels the same, kind of. She is one of my favorite characters in the whole
I like
movie.
her a lot.
I say one of. She is maybe like my second or third. I really like her.
I do too.
But she is a bit abrasive. She's certainly an introvert. She's the kind of person who doesn't it's okay if you sometimes hurt somebody's feelings as long as you're saying the facts properly, right? She's very factual and scientific in that way. And so you can tell she's kind of upset that Gustav would even think of doing this.
Yeah, right.
But she doesn't. They hash it out later. They talk about it later.
Yeah,
but
it's
in
not
the
like
moment,
a compassionate confrontation. It's like how dare you think of it?
Yeah,
there are other people, and I think that is rooted from the idea that she really still believes
heavily
in the central purpose of the expeditioners.
Yeah. And that's when they talk about it in camp.
Yeah.
It's like the whole do
and
you believe?
He's behaving in a way that shows that he doesn't really believe that. And that's very frustrating.
Yeah.
I was meant to lean and rely on others who believed in the same thing that I do.
Right.
And if you don't, then you're a liability to me, to the mission, to all the people we love back home. Why are you here if you don't really believe in our creed, which is for those who come after.
Yeah.
We continue. These types.
Yes.
Just no matter what
when
happens.
When one falls, we continue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like he's really demonstrating that he truly believes those things.
He certainly isn't. And in these are the types of moments where you discover what you truly believe, because you can profess all you want. Oh, I believe this or that. I believe this or that. And when, as you mentioned, I think in the last podcast, when the rubber meets the road, do you really believe that?
Yeah.
And Gustav is sort of finding out that deep down inside, he doesn't actually believe that, that the expeditions are even a good idea anymore. At being on one now, he's just like, I have lost my faith. Basically,
and here's the thing, and we might be getting a little bit ahead of ourselves because they do have the conversation about this. But what that belief really boils down to is that there is something that they fight for that is way more important than one individual.
Yes, yeah.
Now, this is super, super hugely key to possibly the central moral conundrum and kind of theme the game explores.
Right.
Is the life of one person more valuable than the lives of everyone else, right? Do you hold your life or the life of someone you love to greater value than the well-being of the collective, so to speak, right? And what is, I think, pointed about that question is that so many people want to profess or want to believe that they hold the collective's good to a higher degree of importance than their own individual life or just their family or friends or whatever. But I would say that is true of almost no one.
Right.
Rubber meets the road, someone you care about's in danger. This is a whole trolley problem, kind of. Right?
There's an extra element there, but you're right.
It's almost like...
Because you'd be causing the death, and that's the difficulty of that ethical conundrum.
Yeah, it's not exactly that.
Yeah, but
like,
it's close.
Let's say we adjust the trolley problem somewhat to
who do you save instead of who do you...
The one person on the track is your wife or your daughter or something versus a whole town and the train has explosives that are rigged to blow up the whole
there you
town.
Go. I love it.
And you have to either adjust the train to hit the one you love and save the town, or let it run its course and do nothing and let everyone die in the town.
Okay, I'll one up you. It's your Spider-Man, and there's Mary Jane, and the Green Goblin, but then there's a train that's going to fall, and which one do you save? And the obvious answer is you save both.
You save you got to find a way to do both.
You use your hands and shoot your web. And
But yeah, the expeditioners profess to believe that the life of one individual is not important. And if you die in the course of this, at least you have laid the path for those who come after, and that the greater good is the collective, back in Lumiere, the survival of the human race.
Yeah.
And that's what they believe. Lune seems to believe in that more strongly. There are caveats to it, which I think we'll get to when we learn more about her life and her family.
I look
and things
forward
like
to
that.
Talking about her.
But at least at the moment, she seems to be more firmly entrenched in that belief, despite what happened.
I know.
And Gustav is very shaky.
He's
on this
more
point.
emotional, and she's more. I would almost at the moment I'll say robotic. I'll say robotic at the moment, but that definition won't hold throughout the rest of the game. But given what she just also saw, which is the same thing Gustav just saw, it's kind of amazing that she is like the way she is, I guess. No. So if you do that, we both die. Gustav, now knowing that there's hope, puts everything away. He's a little embarrassed, kind of, all right. And then, of course, these two giant Nevrons show up, like, right immediately. And so Luna is like, we got to get out of here. We got to get out of here. And Gustav is, like, dragging his feet still. He's like, and she's like, there's Nevrons around. We have to move. We have to move.
Well, this is where the hope is restored. Again, that dynamic.
Yeah.
Because they haven't even tried the Lumina converter yet.
Oh, that's right.
So they fight the monster that comes up, and she gets him up, and it's like, come on, like, we got to do this. And they use the Lumina converter at the end of it and show that it works.
It works. There's hope again.
It works.
Yeah, there's hope.
And so, boom, another kind of fresh wind in the sail.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, maybe it'll be different this time.
Yeah.
Like, we two are alive. There may be others. Our contingency here was if something happens, we meet at the indigo tree, this giant tree.
This giant tree.
So we're going to go there and see if anyone else is still alive too.
Because
that's kind of the next objective. And so she's kind of like pulling him along. And, but that fresh sort of, source of hope is restored. And hope is so important.
It's almost the only important thing.
It's almost the only thing that really matters in terms of the will to live, right?
Right.
Like, and this is something we'll get into a lot more, so I'm not going to talk deeply about this yet. But it is something that will come up more than once through the game. And it is something that I think really touches deeply those who struggle with having a lot of hope in life.
Right.
The will to live is almost directly tied with how much hope do you have in the future. Yeah. And if it doesn't exist, there's almost no reason to continue going on.
Yeah.
And so, I'm just throwing that out as a teaser for exploring what will eventually become a large discussion on this series. It's something we've talked about a lot in the past and something we're going to be doing a lot with Keith Comito and maybe some others in future episodes. If you don't know who that is, he runs, I think it's lifespan.io.
Yeah.
It's a nonprofit that is doing research into longevity and life extension.
Right.
Helping people live much longer lives than the current sort of like age expectancy is. for people. And so anyway, we're going to be talking about that. That's something we've had a lot of discussions on in the past, like how long should a person live, or would eternal life really be a blessing or a curse?
Right.
And so we'll talk about that a lot more. But hope in the future, hope in that there is something to live for tomorrow is like so key to what side of that kind of question people fall on. And when Gustav had no hope, he was immediately ready to shoot himself in the head. The minute some of that is restored with the Lumina converter, he's ready to keep going.
He snaps back out of it.
Yeah.
Of course, this reminds me of the Jean-Paul Sartre or Albert Camus quotes about like, what is the meaning of life? It's whatever keeps you alive, because keeps you from doing what Gustav was about to do. That's hope. That's what it is. And so for Luna, that thing is the mission, right? And the objectives of the expedition. So I can't remember exactly.
Indigo Tree.
Next.
They're on the way to the Indigo Tree. There's not much,
but I can't remember
story-wise that
what happens before they get there.
Until they get there, other than they recognize, wow, there's like buildings here. This looks like someone's home. They're just noticing odd things about the world. Go ahead.
The white Nevron.
That's right.
We meet.
Yep.
That's one of, because we haven't even met that many Nevrons, right? And here now we see we see Luna being funny. I just think Luna's great, but the robot charge doesn't really work. Lune, I know her name, but Luna.
Luna, the way they say Luna. They don't say like Lune or like Lune.
No, it's like Luna.
It's kind of like Lune. Luna. It's like a soft eh.
Yeah.
So it sounds a little like Luna.
It's only bothersome to pedantic people. I'm just kidding, Rob. Okay, so and here's another thing also I have to bring up, because I mentioned that the beach landing was kind of like Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
And I'm just now remembering that was a redepiction of Normandy, which is France. Like that scene took place in France. So I would wonder if that's if that's was intentional as well,
right,
to try to give us some more French imagery here.
Sure.
Once again, to what happened there. But this white Nevron shows up, and he's just kind of there. He actually can't really move. He's stuck where he is. And somehow Luna knows that the Nevron just wants to talk and not fight.
Yes.
And so
I also found
Gustav
this strange
shows up.
that, and this is something I'm genuinely interested if there's an answer to, because they say, it speaks.
Yeah.
But it is quite literally not speaking.
It's just
right?
making
it's making a
sounds.
noise, and you have subtitles that are like deciphering what it says. Are they hearing words and thinking it is speaking?
That's what I assumed.
And it's not? Or I was a bit confused on this point, because it's not speaking.
I assumed that they were able to decipher its speech somehow. And I'd never figured out how. I don't think. I don't remember, actually. It's been a while.
Yeah.
But somehow they're able to communicate with it. And it's just saying, I need light, basically. And here, all of a sudden, Gustav becomes highly rational and is like, we have been done nothing but kill or be killed by Nevrons. And Lune is the one who's like, this Nevron needs help. We got to go help it. Let's give it some light, and then it'll come to life. And it's a giant Nevron. What can go wrong?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you're seeing a different side of Lune that it's not the robot that can watch her comrades die and be relatively unfazed by it and just keep going on with the mission because she believes so hard. Now, all of a sudden, she is like, hey, let's investigate the Nevron. It's like, no, we got to meet up at the tree. I almost called it the Aoife tree. we got to go meet up at the tree. Because that's what are you doing? Now you want to dawdle, but she's a scientist type person. She found a mystery to solve, and she wants to learn more about the Nevrons, right? So all of a sudden, Lune is the one who's kind of like, hey, let's maybe stay here a little longer and dawdle and she starts dragging her feet a little. And Gustav is the one who's just like, that thing will kill you. They all will kill you. And she's like, but I got a good feeling about this one.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. And I really like Luna's character a lot, because there are several moments where she kind of contradicts or is shown to be either ignorant or self-contradictory, but it makes me like her even more.
I think I know what it is.
Okay, what?
So I just remembered this from Emma's speech, having just read it earlier.
Yes, some of you.
She says, we don't take for granted that you dedicate your final year of life to keeping hope alive for all of Lumiere. And then she says, some of you are leaving to change the world, others to discover the secrets of our universe, some to protect loved ones. So a big part, it might not be the only motivating factor, but a big part of Lune's reason for coming here is to discover the secrets of the universe.
Okay, you know what's fun about that? That's why she was able to keep going.
Yes.
Gustav's goal was to change the world and to be a revolutionary and to help everybody. And it turns out all he did was screw things up. And he brought Mael, of all things, to this freaking Normandy beach. Like, why didn't he just push her off the boat right at the beginning and say, whoops, go swim to the harbor. We'll be fine without you. But he and when he realizes I can't change the world, I'm way too insignificant compared to what I'm up against. But Lune sees all of her friends die and get massacred, but her whole goal was to learn more about the universe.
She's also, like you said, she's introverted and kind of a loner. I'm not sure like how close necessarily she is to the other expeditioners.
Yeah, that's a good point. Point. So it was less her super close friends and more her comrades in goal. We have the same goal, right? And that's why she gets mad. Oh, you changed the goal, because that's what connects her. Instead of a visceral emotional attachment, it was more of a, well, we're both working toward the same thing. But at the same time, if she was the only one left on this new place with tons, like think Charles Darwin in Australia, right? Alone.
On the Galapagos.
or exactly where he was. Or like, just like, I don't care that I'm alone. Look at all the birds. Look at all that. I'm going to sketch. I'm going to, and even if there's no one, I'll leave it down. Someone might come later and find my journal, like if she was totally alone and there was no chance of defeating the Paintress by herself, she would still have had possibly the time of her life just learning about this new world, all the new species she's discovering, all the new plant life, the way things work, the lumina, the magic, the everything. She would have still been able to fulfill her reason for going on the expedition, which is, I want to discover the secrets of the universe. And she, being more of an introvert, feels that, or I think possibly feels that she can do that just as well on her own as with a whole group of people.
Sure.
And maybe even these people are going to slow her down. Yeah. So her goals weren't completely betrayed by the death of the entire expedition. Yeah. They were partially betrayed, but the goal still exists. And hey, I'll do my part. You guys couldn't do it, but I'll do my part. And I can still do the thing that's driving me, which is to sketch, make scientific discoveries.
Yeah, they did a good job of this in the prologue too, of having some of the conversations you come across through as you're going through Lumiere set up mysteries about the world that people don't necessarily know about. So they talk about gestrels.
Yeah,
you have the little boys wearing the gestrel masks. Well, do you think gestrels are real, miss? Yeah. Oh, I do too. Yeah. Right?
There's the woman who made a big giant sculpture of what is called esquie.
Yeah.
And it's a big stone sculpture. And it's like, I wonder if this is a real thing.
Yeah. So there are definitely like mysteries that have been handed down as myths in the culture.
And likely came from that first expedition.
Yeah.
Or
from
maybe
the
even
survivors of Expedition Zero, the first one that had survivors.
And they were like, dude, there's these crazy things here.
So, her one of, I don't want to say it's the only, but one of her,
might be underselling her a little bit.
One of her primary goals is to learn some of those things.
Yeah.
She
and
has
as long as she can still do that,
scientific curiosity about the continent, what happened, the people that inhabit it still, what actually goes on here, how much of it is just myth, how much of it is true.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I'm certainly underselling her reaction to the beach.
Sure.
I painted it as though she just robotically was like, well, I'll keep going.
Like she didn't care.
The fact is, she picked that point to land at.
Yeah.
Like, it was her choice to land there and to because that was where Expedition Zero landed, and they seem to get the furthest. Even though everyone thinks the expeditions are getting better and better, she is maybe seeing that actually, I think the Expedition Zero is the best, and that was the first one, and we've only gotten worse since then. Let's go back and do what they did first, because everyone didn't do what they did because they knew that it failed. So they're like, oh, let's keep going to different places. It was her idea to go back to that one because, well, at least they survived. So maybe let's land here. So, and she feels awful about how it went and the fact that she's the one that picked that
There's
place.
definitely guilt there.
She's not hyper robotic. But my point is that she wouldn't give up hope because she still has something to sustain her, which is look at all the discoveries I can make. Gustav doesn't care at all about that.
Yeah.
You think that after watching that whole scene and walking forward, that he'd be like, ooh, a white Nevron. That's different from the black Nevrons. Let me get out my notebook. It's white. It's got like, it's talking. Let me see if I can decipher its language. Like Gustav doesn't care. Like that would never drive him in a million years. Yeah. Yet it really drives Luna to the point where she starts losing sight of the goal upon seeing these Nevrons and like, ooh, maybe we should do some research before we go to that Aoife tree.
Indigo tree.
Indigo tree. I wonder if there's a connection, by the way. I think FF9 was specifically pointed out by the developers as it's all of the FF games, but 9 in particular was one of the ones. But yeah, so they start going, and this white Nevron basically starts saying, like, praising the paintress. She paints beautiful things. She's a wonderful paintress. I need her light to move. She paints life and beauty and love. And it's like, that.
I can't remember the term he calls her by, like, my mistress.
Mistress,
or something like
that's it. Yes, the mistress.
Yeah. And, he needs the light in order to follow her. Without the light, he can't like hear her or can't understand her will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's partly why, maybe he's lost motivation or hope and why he can't move and all that. But this line, because, as you can ask the thing several questions. It's really interesting. Gustav is just like, why, he's totally against this. But one of the things that the white Nevron says is, I would never plunge others into darkness. I was painted to bring light. Mm. And well, all of these things were painted by the paintress. So how does this white Nevron somehow have some insight into the paintress and what she wants, whereas all the other Nevrons don't talk and seem to bring or not care and only bring darkness and destruction everywhere they go? Yeah. Or is that even what they're doing? Yeah. But this is giving the hint that maybe everything here was created in order to bring light. Yeah. And that's something we're just going to have to put a bookmark in because there are characters we meet later on, specifically even in this act, but there's like what they call the little boy. And it's just like a chroma statue, like a black chroma statue of a little boy. And one of the things the little boy says, you just find him randomly throughout the world in the most unlikely places. But one of the things he says is this world was painted to bring light, but it has only brought darkness or something like that. And it's like, whoa, so there's a mismatch between the purpose for which things were made and what they actually end up doing once they're made.
Right.
That's an interesting thing to know. Like, that's just fascinating. Yet, they continue to be painted, right? So it's almost like you can't give the paintress a pass here because at some point you've got to realize what's happening and stop the painting. So anyways, but it's just giving a little bit of nuance to the paintress.
Rob is bringing up something interesting here.
FF8.
Apparently, it's been sitting there, this Nevron, for a long time because the journal next to it is the late 60s. So
that's right.
This is something to keep an eye on and will help you kind of put a complete picture together of what's going on. These journals are dispersed.
Gotten all of them.
All over the world.
Yeah, and there's at least 67
you're not
of them.
going to run into all of them by just like going through the main story course.
Yeah, you'll maybe get, 15.
Yeah, there's a lot of them off the beaten path or hidden or in areas that are optional and things like this.
That's right. Yeah.
But there's a lot of diary or journal entries for lots of the previous expeditions, usually found nearby their planted flag, which kind of
where you can kind of heal at.
Yeah, which kind of represents like where that expedition got up to, right?
Yeah.
They kind of planted their flag there.
Yeah.
And then like others came after.
The journals are basically just the last journal that they had made. You're not getting the whole expedition. You're just getting like kind of like in the Mines of Moria.
Yeah.
Gandalf picks up this massive book, yet turns to the last page and is like, okay, and they are coming.
That's a great comp, actually, is the diary in the Mines of Moria.
That's
they get like the idea right what happened right as they died.
Mazarbul or the
Yeah. Drums in the deep.
All of these, And some of these journals even include the moment of their death,
Yeah,
basically.
I think this one actually is. It's like she's in the middle of recording, and then she's like, "Oh," and she like dies.
Well, because one of the questions, I think, was about the White Neveron even. It was there even 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And she was wondering, oh, this Neveron seems different. This is weird. I wonder what, and then dies. And it's like, oh, did the Neveron kill her? Like, it introduces this mystery. But then also, my favorite journal is, and this is jumping a little bit ahead, but I have to bring it up now. My favorite journal is the one in Esquia's cave because it's the guys who ate the mushroom.
Yes, it's great.
They're just like, dang it, I should have known. I should have known not to eat that mushroom. Now we're all going to die. What a great way to end our expedition. And just like so upset. And then
like
slowly,
that a lot.
I'm losing consciousness. Everything's going dark now. All right. And then it's just over. It's
I
really
love
funny.
that because it demonstrates a self-awareness by the creators of the story here that this is very heavy material they're dealing with, and it's like a lot of really depressing, like dark kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But they do know when to insert like those moments of levity to release that tension a bit.
And there's a lot. There's a lot of funny moments.
You need dynamics like we've been talking about, and they know how to do that. I think it was right around the time I started to see some of those things that I began to have complete trust in the writers here, that they knew what they were doing when writing the story. And so there were times, I think you had them too, back when we were reviewing the game.
Yeah.
Before we had finished it, where I was like, there are parts here that are making me think this might go off the rails. I'm not sure what to think about this part. But then it all kind of ends up resolving in ways that are very satisfying. And so the writers knew what they were doing. I think they are very, very accomplished and have shown like they understand the craft.
Yeah.
So.
And but at this point in the game, there's not a ton of levity. That a lot of that will come a bit later.
Yeah.
So then we come to this point where, and I believe this is after the tree, or no, this is before the tree, where they come to the message about Mael.
That's after.
Oh, it's after?
Because
Okay.
the indigo tree is where the boss is. So you fight I think it's called Ivike or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce French words.
Right.
That word, I believe, translates to bishop in English. So and it's kind of dressed like like some kind of clergyman or something.
Oh, interesting.
It's got like robes and like a big hat.
Yeah,
you know?
okay, like a bishop. Yeah, I see.
And so so that literally means bishop, I think, in French. The name of that boss, but it's like right after that point because there is one expeditioner there. They see him, they're like, oh, they call out to him, and he just gets like freaking
and he dies
killed
right away.
In the like, oh man. So there were other survivors,
and then you kind of have to walk right past him.
And then that's after you fight that boss. You kind of go up through like the hollow part of the tree.
That's right, and then at the top,
and then there's a note.
Okay, so we get to the tree, and yes, there were people gathered there, but they died, and it's over. And so, okay, great. It's still just Gustav and Luna. Luna. I can just say Luna.
You say whatever you want. Who cares?
I will say whatever I want.
They know what you mean.
Guess what Luna means in other languages, Luna.
In Portuguese, it is Lua. L-U-A. Lua.
That's pretty
moon.
cool.
It's the name of our cat, Lua.
Oh, very
means
nice.
moon.
I didn't
in
realize
Portuguese.
that. Just drop the N. Mm-hmm. Who needs an N?
Who needs an N?
So this is where the second big disagreement between Gustav and Lune. Now, the first one is basically just that Gustav was going to do something Lune didn't approve of, but that Gustav really didn't approve of either. As soon as Lune shows up, Gustav puts away the gun, and he agrees with her. Like, yeah, that was embarrassing. I shouldn't have done that. But back at the tree, or at this tree, once they finally reach the rendezvous point, there's a message that was, I can't remember how it's worded, but it's something like, Mael is in a house in the middle of the, is it the floating, what do they call it? The
flying waters?
The flying waters, yeah. And Gustav is like, oh, look at this note. It says Mael is in the house of the flying waters. Let's go there. And Lune is, for multiple reasons, very hesitant to do that. She's like, first off, who wrote that note?
Yeah.
Is that Mael's handwriting? Did she write her own note? That doesn't seem plausible. That someone else wrote this note. And Gustav is like, yeah, well, maybe they were in a hurry. And she's like, no, but why didn't they follow protocol? Every expeditioner follows protocol.
Yeah.
Well, maybe there was an enemy. We just fought one. Maybe there was a situation.
I think she mentions that the protocol is to sign the message. Like, we need to know who wrote it.
That's
like,
right.
Who said this.
Well, maybe
right?
they didn't have time to sign the message.
Did you think that perhaps they were in a hurry? They were fighting something. They didn't have time. So the argument here is basically, in the field, he just experienced this. You are not prepared perfectly for what comes up, and sometimes you have to deviate from protocol.
Yeah, Gustav has really just internalized that.
Yeah, but also, I mean, what I love about this scene is like what he's saying is like correct technically, right?
Totally,
but he's also just using it as an excuse to do what he really wants,
and
which is he's more concerned about Mael.
Yeah.
He just wants to go to Mael. He doesn't really care about the mission anymore.
Yeah.
He just cares about making sure she's okay because he feels guilty for abandoning her on the beach.
Yeah.
And so that's what's motivating him here. But he's using words, an argument, a line of reasoning.
Correct words and good arguments. Yeah.
This is why we talk so often about how like our rationale for why we're doing certain things are so often misaligned with like what we really feel.
Yeah,
and how those things often are not the same. We just convince ourselves of the rationale, but you felt the emotion before the rationale came. We talk about this all the time. But he's using a rationale, a line of reasoning, an argument that is correct technically, but it's not aligned with his reason. He does not care about the mission or about, well, in this situation, we should do it this way because, the protocol doesn't account for everything.
Well, if you read the footnote to Protocol E, Section 4, Verse 8, it doesn't matter. He's not even, he's just like, listen, things change.
Yeah.
When you're in the field,
things change.
Your rules
get
thrown out.
But he's not actually saying what he feels. And I love this about dialogue. I think this is a sign of well-written dialogue. When characters are saying things that are misaligned with what they really think or what they really feel or what they're really motivated by, because they're trying to hide that.
Yes,
because they feel as if I were to say that, it would actually undo or put me at I would how do I put this? He would be doing the wrong thing technically within like what they're meant to be doing out there. She's right in the argument about protocol.
Oh, of course.
We're supposed to do this, and you leaving and following this message is the wrong thing to do.
Right.
He knows it's the wrong thing to do, but I'm not talking about morally. I'm talking about like according to their
goal,
mission and accomplishing what they came there to do.
Yeah.
But he doesn't care about that, but he doesn't want to admit he doesn't care about that.
Because that wouldn't convince Lune. He needs to convince Lune. So he can't use his real argument that would convince him, which is Mael needs help. Like, go help her.
That's called subtext. So the subtext is, I actually don't care about the mission. I care about my charge, Mael. I want to make sure she's okay. That's more important. The individual is more important than the collective to me. And she's noticing this, and they have a big argument about it once they get to a camp after leaving this area.
I like that camp.
But that's what's going on in the scene. Is it's establishing that Gustav is abandoning his ideals.
Yes. Yeah.
And she is maintaining them, although she occasionally diverts for her scientific explorations. But in this case, the individual you care about is not as important as doing what we're meant to do according to protocol. Yeah. And he uses one of the protocol against her.
I love this a lot.
Which I thought was great.
Okay. The best part about this is the fact that it presents the exact thing we talked about in the prologue and that we will talk about 100 times in this podcast, which is there is no compromise. There is no middle ground between following the protocol and staying at the I'm sorry. What's it called? The indigo? The indigo tree. There is no compromise between staying at the indigo tree and going out to find Mael.
Yeah.
You can't, I guess you could go halfway to Mael, And then you just do neither.
Yeah, that's not really doing
That's
anything.
called bowling a 7-10 split right down the middle. You miss both. That's
accomplish nothing.
You accomplish neither. You can't do both. You can't do both.
Yeah.
And once again, we're at the indigo tree, which is the big prominent tree in this world that was visible from Lumiere. That's why they could even have a name for it. Oh, there's that huge tree there. Oh, let's call it the indigo tree. So they're at a tree, and it's a man and a woman where the protocol dictated from above is that they must remain together.
Yeah.
But that one of them seems to want to sin against
the other protocol.
Break the rule
and
that was
leave
written,
the garden.
But in so doing, create a situation where, we also commanded to stay together, right?
That's great.
How can the whole goal is for the collective, for humanity, how can we do that if we're separate? Anyways, this is a Garden of Eden situation, almost direct, almost, I believe, intentionally so. And that finally, when Gustav is leaving, he's like, well, I'm leaving your little paradise of your rules and your tree and your structure that you're the creeds that, we both swore an oath to. I'm going to break it to do what I think is better and go out into the wide world and leave the comfort of this little meeting place that we're just going to stay at forever. Like, at what point does protocol say, after 12 days, then you can go? And I guess everyone's probably dead after 12 days, so just keep going. There's probably something in the protocol. But instead of bringing up any of that stuff, he just says, I'm leaving, and if you really care about your precious protocol, you'll come with me because it also commands that we be together.
Yeah.
And so then she has to go. But this is another one of those moments. There is no compromise. She is breaking protocol either way. If she lets him go and doesn't stay with him, then she's breaking protocol. If she stays at the tree and Gustav leaves, she's breaking protocol. What if she goes with him? She's breaking protocol. So he puts her in a position where she's going to be breaking it either way. Since we're going to be breaking a rule either way, do you want to come with me and rescue Mael, or are you going to break protocol by leaving me alone and just be alone? Right?
Staying here for 3 days.
Something about that for Luna might actually be appealing, but she ultimately decides, well, we're going to rank these protocol in a hierarchy.
Yep.
And stay together is more important, which is also the Adam and Eve thing. I guess us both going together is more important than me following the protocol all by myself. Like, what's the point of that, right? Yeah. And so she decides to go. But once again, it's presenting us with the no compromise, no middle ground, complete dichotomous fracturing
scenario
where there's a chasm in between the two, and you just kind of got to pick one.
Yep.
Pick one and then stick to it, right? There's no the middle ground is just to fall and lose and die. You just got to pick one. And no one knows what the right thing is to do, but Gustav has his emotional reasons for picking one of them. And so they got to do that.
And then I think when they leave this area, the camp scene is the next one, right? Where they argue. And we've kind of already touched on this a lot, so we probably don't need to spend a lot of time on it. But she confronts him directly about it. Do you still believe in the mission? And he takes a long time to answer. She has to ask him like 3 or 4 times. And he just says, I think at the end, I don't know.
I love this so much.
Yeah, it's really good.
This is one of the best moments ever because what Gustav has really discovered is that he doesn't know what he believes.
Yeah.
That's what he really discovered on the beach and in the cave with all of his dead comrades. He discovered that he doesn't know what he actually believes. And Luna is saying, you swore the oath. When one falls, we continue. We always said that the future of Lumiere is more important than any individual life. Do you still believe that?
Yeah.
And he won't say his answer. But then she asks him again, do you still believe that? Do you? Right? So 3 times she asks him, do you still believe? And I actually liken this. This is something like an inquisition.
Yeah.
Like this is so funny because this is Lune. Lune, hyper-rational, scientific, yet holds to these oaths and creeds as though they are gospel, essentially. And like this, you can't, how dare you not believe the same thing I believe, right? But it really does threaten the cohesion of the group and the achievement of their goal.
It's totally.
If people don't believe the same things.
If they are not united in that, like there's very little chance of success.
Exactly.
You have to have that mindset in order for an expedition of this kind to even work because the likelihood of it succeeding is so low. that there is no other way to be motivated to do it unless you believe that.
And unless everyone believes that.
Yeah.
Everyone has to believe the same thing. And so, while maybe a part of you is like, oh, let people believe whatever they want. It's like not in this in certain situations and in certain like let life and death moments, or maybe when you're in the field and you're surrounded by enemies. Choosing to have the freedom to believe whatever you want and afford everyone else that same freedom is not exactly wise. You need some enforcement of belief, basically. And Luna is kind of becoming that. She is sort of the emissary of the rules. We talked maybe briefly in the past about like the letter of the law versus the spirit of the law kind of stuff. Well, the spirit of the law is that just, as long as you can still accomplish the goal, then it's okay kind of how you get there. If other things come up, then so be it. But Lune is very rigid with the letter of the law. No, we have to do like, the exact wording.
Provo parking enforcement.
Oh my gosh, they're the worst. They are the worst.
That is very letter of the law.
Boot your car for the smallest infraction. I hate those guys.
You'll be in an empty parking lot at some apartment complex.
And as soon as 8 p.m. hits,
the clock strikes, and there's literally like hundreds of open parking spots. Yeah. The idea is for the people who live there, they need a spot to park. Yes. And anyone who is parking there that doesn't live there, you're taking that spot, and there's limited space. Yeah. But at this particular time, there's hundreds of spots open, and you're coming and booting my car. This is not the spirit of the law.
Yes, but that's how it goes. So, if you've ever had a cop who lets you off with a warning after you're catching you speeding, that is somebody who recognizes either, well, this isn't the kind of person who is just going around breaking laws all the time that the law is meant to punish. Or, you have no infractions. Well, that's the spirit of the law. There's no law that says you have to give a warning the first time you pull someone over. Yeah. That's at the officer's discretion. Yet I've gotten several warnings. I've also gotten several tickets. But the letter of the law demands the ticket. But sometimes this guy seems like, well, I could just give him a warning this time. And if he does it again, then he's got to pay the fine, and then the cops have a record. If you've gotten like 5 warnings, you can't, like, they're like, dude, you give them a warning the past 5 times, you're still doing it. Like, I get it. Anyways, that's the spirit of the law versus letter of the law. Gustav is kind of not even spirit of the law at this point, but is using that as an argument.
Yes.
And then Lune is so strictly letter of the law. But I mostly want to bring up the fact that she is basically holding an inquisition on Gustav as to inform something that happens a little bit later on. And so just kind of make a note of that. She is very, very adamant in enforcing belief in the people that are part of her group. Yep. What's the point of being in this group? Or what's the point of having you in the group if you don't believe in the goal? The thing that makes the group a group is that they all have the same goal and they all believe in the same purpose.
Right.
If you don't believe in it, you're not... the only thing that is making you technically part of my group is the fact that you're just here next to me. And in no other way are we a part of the same group, right? So there was some... I love the ending of that scene, though. It's really good because there was a hint. There was a hint at the very beginning at the prologue from Sophie that maybe, and I don't know if this is canonical, but maybe Gustav and Lune actually dated.
Had a thing together,
Sophie asks, like, hey, did you and Lune ever? And Gustav doesn't answer.
He doesn't really answer,
but, and is that a yes? Is that a no? I don't know.
Yeah, she kind of teased him about it because she's playing guitar like across the circle or wherever they're at, the square they're in. And she says, like, because she's about to die, she's like, oh, maybe something, could be between the two of you. Or maybe it already has.
Yes.
And he's like, Doesn't answer.
So you can read that to just say yes.
Yeah, there's an indication that there may have been a fling, a one-night stand.
Maybe something like
of that. But they don't act as if they are bonded or really have that kind of connection.
Which would lead me to even think that, well, maybe also it was just a one-sided. Well, I liked her, but she didn't really like me back. Like, or she liked me, but let's just avoid this whole thing. Or maybe we did like each other, but only for like a little bit.
Yeah.
And either way, there's some, or maybe we really don't like each other and we don't get along and we've never been close at all. And let's avoid her. There's 4 possible answers and all of them fit. But I think just the fact that the game even brought it up, the fact that Sophie even says it, probably the likely answer is that he and Lune did
very briefly had a
engage
thing.
in some
I'm
type
trying to remember
of
the dialogue
romantic
they had
relationship.
together in Lumiere the night
Oh,
before
afterwards?
leaving.
Well,
She
it's
this
really
is where it's mentioned.
bantery.
Yeah, this is where it's mentioned that they're going to the place she picked.
Yeah.
So they like set that up. But then he says something, and then she says,
stop it,
go,
Gustav." Yeah.
stop talking,
Yeah,
and
go away,
kind
Gustav.
of thing.
Yeah.
At the end of it, he's like
in
teasing her.
In a sort of endearing
Yeah,
way.
it's like a bantering kind of way, like
Yeah,
you said.
yeah.
It's not like
Just
a
like, "Stop it,
seriously like shut up, I don't like you." It's
Yeah,
more
not
like,
like
you stop teasing me, like
Yeah,
I want to be alone right
go
now.
Go tease someone else. Leave me alone. Yeah. And that's funny. So at the very least, they understand each other's personalities like fairly well.
Yeah.
Right. So they'll talk business, but as soon as he's kind of trying to tease her or something, she's just like, "Go away, Gustav.
Yeah.
I don't like. You're funny." She says it with like a half smile, but like, so it's hard to read their relationship really.
Rob says here too, or it could have been there was a thing, or could have been a thing, but I couldn't get over Sophie, so like that got in the way.
And he didn't want to like tell Sophie.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's 5 things.
So, yeah,
And maybe
multiple
they dated
answers.
for all 4 years, and who knows? Probably not, because Sophie would have heard about it
known
if it
about
went on
that,
for that
yeah.
long. So the idea that Sophie isn't even really sure as to what happened is part of why I would draw the conclusion that whatever happened, it was brief.
Yeah, it was a fling, small thing.
Yeah. But the way that this whole conversation ends is basically with them kind of laughing and Gustav once again being embarrassed about things that he said or did, because Lune, they're just laughing about it over the fire, basically.
Yeah.
Because finally Gustav says, and this is actually very important too. This is a very important line. What Gustav says at the end when he says, "I hope I believe."
Yeah.
And that's the best he can do. The best I can do for you, Luna. I'm being honest with myself. I'm being honest with you. I hope I still believe, and that's the best I can give you. And that's when Luna kind of lets off, and she's like, "Well, it's close enough, right?
Yeah.
I can work with that. I can't work with the abandonment of our cause, but I can work with at least you still have hope
Yeah.
in the cause. I hope I still believe." But that also echoes a line from the New Testament. It's the
Is that
help
Pete?
my unbelief.
Yeah. Wait.
It's the
Thomas,
guy-
Thomas, right?
What?
Is it Thomas?
So Thomas was he says
Oh,
something
no.
similar.
You're talking about
but
Peter
this is the guy,
walking on the water. Yeah,
this is the guy who I think this is the guy who says, "Help heal my daughter." And Jesus is like, "Do
wait a
you
minute.
believe I can heal your daughter?" And the guy's
That's
like,
right, that's
"Yeah, I
right,
believe."
that's right.
And then a minute passes, and then he goes, "Help my unbelief."
That's right, I
basically.
remember.
And then at least you wanting to believe was enough for then Jesus heals his daughter. But when Gustav says, "I hope I believe," basically he's asking her to help him. Basically,
Yeah.
help my unbelief. I don't believe, but I want to believe, and can you help me out here? I'm struggling. And Luna's like, "All right, fair enough." And she goes back, and basically the line, she kind of repeats what he had said previously.
Fuck the mission. Really?
It is just like, "Really, Gustav? Really?" And he kind of does this little sheepish grin. In the we haven't mentioned this, Edward Cullen, what's the name? Robert Pattinson.
Robert
In a very
Pattinson.
Robert
That's
Pattinson-like
true.
manner.
We haven't commented on how much he looks like Robert Pattinson.
How much he is
He basically
Robert Pattinson.
is. If they make a film of this or a TV
He's the
series
French
or something,
Robert
and they
Pattinson.
don't use Robert Pattinson, I would be
I've
shocked.
heard.
In fact,
I've
believe
heard
he-
there are there's
minute.
something in the works.
Oh no! I got this wrong
For the TV show.
So there's a Netflix series. It's actually really good. It's called The King, and it features Robert Pattinson
Oh, yeah?
and guy from freaking Dune.
Oh,
main guy.
the young guy?
Yeah, with his
Atreides? Paul?
What's his real name?
Paul Atreides.
Oh my gosh.
Can't remember. I don't know the actor's name at all, actually.
Why the F am I blanking on this? Well, I shouldn't be surprised. I do it all the time. But anyway, that guy has French ancestry.
Oh, really?
Robert Pattinson is English.
Yeah.
But they had them be opposite. So like Robert
that's
Pattinson's
funny.
the French king and
Wait, really?
guy I can't remember is the English king in the show. Timothy Chalamet, thank you. Yes, Timothy Chalamet. So Timothy Chalamet's playing.
Chalamet is a very French
Can't
name.
remember Edward V or something like that.
Okay.
He's that English king in the show, and Robert Pattinson is the French king. So I was thinking for a second,
That's funny.
is he French? No, Robert Pattinson's not French, but he should play Gustav
He
in
should, it
whatever
doesn't matter.
series that they make, which I believe has been greenlit, and they are making it. But
Well, and I love that anytime you want to portray a foreign accent in an English, it's always the English accent, or at least to the American audience. these people should all be speaking with a French accent.
Yes.
But anytime, whether it's 300, where Leonidas has a heavy Scottish accent, or like it doesn't matter. It's just, hey, as long as it sounds kind of foreign-ish to Americans, that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
So even though these are a bunch of French people, everyone is speaking with a wonderful, wonderful English accent. And yeah, so Gustav in his Robert Pattinson manner kind of gives a little sheepish grin and looks at Luna and says, sorry. for what he had said previously. And that's kind of how the scene ends. It ends with a smile and a look.
As Rob wrote here, fetch the mission.
That's right.
That's what he said. So that's what they're laughing about at the end.
Yeah, and he's like, he gets fiery. This is what we're learning about Gustav. He's heavily emotional. He gets fiery about his emotional attachments to things, and he is he sometimes makes decisions based on his emotions, not necessarily the rational faculties, which is great. Don't we all? Even Lune does, even though she probably won't admit it. But he says things he doesn't mean. He does things he doesn't mean often, it seems. There's already several times now where he's just been embarrassed about something he did or said. And we're not that far into the game, really. And so, he just kind of like apologizes and she laughs about it. And this could have ended badly. This could have ended in a way that would kind of keep that tension kind of lingering in the air. Some games want to do that, raise the tension and keep it high. This game seems to have an interest in relieving that tension often. And as soon as things flare up like that, we are able to kind of laugh about it pretty quickly after that.
Yeah, it's good.
Even at this point, Lune is like, all right, we're going to find Mael. Like, I'm going to, do whatever it takes to help you find Mael. She's not holding the grudge necessarily.
Right.
For whatever happened. And also Gustav has to apologize and kind of comfort Lune about the landing position as well. Yeah. So they really do like, hey, it wasn't your fault. No one knew this was going to happen. So it was, and I'm sorry that I brought up the fact that you chose the landing point, because he had said that, I think, back when they were having their disagreement at the tree. He was like, we landed where you said to land. Protocol said to land on that beach. Yeah. Was that the best thing for us?
Right.
And that was a direct dig at her, right?
Yeah.
And so they come back together and have the unification of the team seems to be unifying, maybe less really around the goal, but around each other, around, hey, at least we're going to help each other out. Yeah. You help me. You're the goal person. You help me to regain faith in that goal. And then we're just going to try and get the team back together and find out if maybe Mael is still alive. Yeah. And so they're holding to each other, just like another Lord of the Rings reference.
Hold to each other.
Then the fellowship has failed. Not if we hold true to each other. Right? So great. So they're holding true to each other. All right. That, and in so doing, maybe they can, do what Spider-Man did. Do both, right? Save Mary Jane. It's Mary Jane, right? I haven't seen the movie in so long.
And the collective.
And the train that's falling off a cliff. So anyways, really good scene. I can't say enough good about it.
We're coming up on an hour and a half. I do want to get through one more portion here. So we might go a little longer, but
okay.
The Flying Waters is the next area.
That's so
and
cool.
I just have
so beautiful.
I think it's my favorite area in the game.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's just
I like that it comes early.
Visually gorgeous. So you're walking
Avatar
through,
movie.
Yeah, you're walking through what looks like an underwater area, but there
like
isn't
fish and
water.
everything.
It's like the water's up there, but you look like you're underwater because of the way the light goes through.
The light filters
and
through.
refracts through that water. And there are like little bubbles and just other
there's bubble, there's coral
upward.
And like seaweed.
Yeah, it's just a really cool like fantasy area. I think it looks really, really cool.
I love the Flying Waters. It's beautiful.
This is where Expedition 68, they had tried to reach the mainland and they had run into a storm that lifted their boat and then crashed it here.
Yeah.
So this is where Expedition 68 landed. And so you find Expedition 68's journal in this area. And I took a note on this journal entry because we do get Mael back in this segment or during this, level.
Yeah.
And one thing that she said when we got into a battle was, let's spill some ink.
Yeah, that's right.
And I was confused by it. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, why is she saying that? And then the journal reads, okay, here we go. Right here. It's a miracle any of us survived. We were caught in a maelstrom and flung from wave to wave. We lost the moon and the stars, condemned to never-ending darkness of punishing rain and raging clouds. The paintress sent a storm to overcome us, but it is we who have overcome the storm. After surviving that, crushing those Nevrons was almost an afterthought. Strength and resilience, it's how we survived that storm. It's how we grabbed victory. It wasn't even a battle, it was an ink bath. We squeezed those nevs dry, but this new one looks tougher than the others.
Right, and that's their last journal entry, meaning
yeah, they
the new
probably
one killed
lost
one,
to that. But again, the Nevrons, as you were talking about earlier, are creations of the paintress.
Right.
So their blood is ink.
I see.
So that's what Mael's talking about when
sense.
they're slaying the Nevrons, because their blood is ink. They're made by the paintress. They're creations of the paintress, like the White Nevron talked about. So that was kind of interesting. There's also some lyrics. So if you translate the French lyrics from the music in different areas of the game, you'll get some insight into stuff. So Rob posted this for me while I was streaming. It's from the song titled Linen and Cotton. And it says, linen and cotton blend. Now, this is also talking about canvas, right? Like the material canvas are made from.
But
feel the ink flowing in your veins. It will be the blood of your life. Give up the knife. Don't be afraid of the passing time. There are so many different times. Don't be afraid of the passing time. You'll be fine.
that's interesting. But I have to bring up, I didn't know this. Linen and cotton blending. Is that expressly forbidden in the Old Testament? I have to.
Oh, I don't know that.
The Old Testament forbids the blending of certain cloths. One sec.
Rob is correcting here that this particular song is in English. It's not a translation from French to English.
Oh, it's wool.
It's just in English. But
It's wool and linen, because linen is taken from plants and wool is taken from animals. So that thou shalt not wear cloth combining wool and linen. So I guess that's different. But when they say cotton and linen combining, I wonder if
yeah. Anyway,
I'll delete
interesting. Anyway, so the song is in English. It's not in French.
Oh, really?
It's not translated from French. It's in English. But there are other songs in French that when you translate the lyrics, you'll get like insight into. It's not just like music that sits in the background. It's like part of the storytelling. It like fills out the world and the lore and understanding what's going on. So just keep that in mind as you go throughout the game too.
Okay, very cool. Chroma also, since just to bring this up, chroma means color, basically.
Yes.
And the interesting thing is that when these painterly things happen, either when they're happening, like when the paintress changes the number, the world kind of turns black and white for a little bit.
Yeah, I noticed this when I was
color.
fighting certain enemies.
Yes.
They lose color as they lose like HP.
Yeah.
So as their HP gets lower, they like become more monochrome or like lose color. And the white Nevron being white,
Yes. Yeah.
you know, without the light and without his connection to the paintress.
Then he would receive his color again. But that's the word for color is chroma.
Yeah, and chroma is like the life force of all living things in the world. Yeah, and chroma, on top of being life force, it actually works a little bit like Dark Souls, where souls are currency in Dark Souls.
Interesting.
And chroma is currency in this world too.
Well, wasn't Dark Souls an influence on this game?
I'm sure it was to some degree, but I don't know if it was directly referenced. But
there is a game like Dark Souls, or it may have been Bloodborne or one of the others, but that directly influenced this game.
Yeah. So anyway, interesting little tidbits that sort of fill in how the painterliness, I guess, of the world and its creations, and the fact that the paintress created this stuff. Chroma is the lifeblood. Ink is the literal blood.
Yeah. Let's spill some ink.
Let's spill some ink. That's why she says that.
So should we get up to Mael? Should we get through the flying waters?
Let's go through when they meet up with Mael. So they come across a door, and you'll encounter more than one of these all over the world.
Quite a few, yeah.
There's a lot of them to find. And it's just a door to a manor, but like the door is disconnected from the actual manor, right? It's just a door that's sitting there. They open it and you get like teleported to where that manor is.
Yeah.
That's the way it kind of works. And you'll find many doors all over the world. So this is like the first one. And it just teleports you into this just illustrious gilded manor.
Yeah.
With paintings everywhere. There's art and paint all all over the walls. There's a lot of locked doors now that you can't enter. But as you find more of these doors in the world, more of those doors will open and you'll explore more of that manor, which will, again, piece by piece, hint by hint, sort of illuminate like what's going on here in the story, fill it out for you. Right now, I don't think we can enter any of the doors except for the one where Mael is.
Yeah, because she is alive.
There is a secret that you can encounter here. I did not know this, thank you to the chat, when I was playing. There's one painting. So it's the manor is constructed in a symmetrical manner, right? So like on the side Mael is, like on the kind of the right side as you enter up the stairs to the right and then down the hallway on the right.
Yeah.
The opposite side of the manor, on the left, there is a painting that you can leap through.
Oh,
it's
that's
like
right.
an invisible wall.
That's right, yeah.
And on the inside are tons of paintings of a dog. And there's like dog toys near the base of the painting. That's kind of how you know there's something different about it. There's like dog toys in a dog bowl, like underneath that painting, which like gives a hint like there's something different about this particular painting. You jump through and there's just all these paintings of this dog. So that's like the one room you could like technically go into. At this point, the others you get later. But there's not much else to talk about other than pay attention to the paintings. They do, for the most part, sort of foreshadow areas that are coming up, sometimes bosses, things of that nature. Others have deeper sort of like connections with the story that we can't talk about yet to avoid spoilers. But for the most part, this manor, you can't explore it too much. You just need to go find the room Mael is in and continue the story.
So when we find Mael, she's kind of facing away in a window, and you can't really tell if it's her. And if it is her, you can't tell if she's still alive or not. But yeah, they meet up, and it's a very touching moment. It's very, I don't know, I liked it a lot.
It's great.
But as it happens, and they ask her, how did you survive? Why are you here? Like, how did you get here? This doesn't make sense. She goes, oh, he brought me here.
Yep.
And you turn around, and that it is so. The monster design is great in this game. This guy maybe isn't necessarily a monster, but his design is possibly the most interesting. So it's a man without a face, right? Not just without a face, like with a black hole where his face should be, right?
Yeah.
And just and you kind of hear this sound, almost this like sucking in, breathing sound every time you the camera shows him, right? And it's really eerie, and you don't know. Oh, great! We're gonna have to fight this thing, whatever it is. But it doesn't. It's just kind of walking around. It doesn't really speak much. If it does, it's like the white Nevrons.
It's kind of the same as Nevrons. It's like you understand what it says, but it's not actually speaking.
But Mael's like, no, it's very nice. He's been super nice to me. Everything's great. And we just kind of, Gustav and Lune are just like kind of feel off about all this, right? Like this, okay, cool. Well, this whole world's crazy, so fine. You found a nice person here. Very good. And so we get Mael, and in order to leave, we have to fight this faceless man, right? And so he gives you quite a bit of experience, actually, for that level in the game. And, you know, he's not super easy, but you can choose to fight him multiple times.
Yeah, to practice.
Yeah, and you know, just to kind of like level up, I guess. But once we leave, then first off, we see that if you go a little further, there's a ton of slain Nevrons like all over the place. And the question is like, who slayed all these Nevrons? And Mael's like, who indeed, you know? And the answer being, of course, she's the one that did it, right? She's like, do you think I've just been like locked up in that mansion this whole time? Like I've been out doing stuff. I don't know what to do, but I can at least kill a bunch of Nevrons. So she's just around there killing Nevrons. But you also meet, I can't remember his name. What's the little guy? The little
Noko.
Noko. You meet
the Jestro.
Noko there.
Yeah.
And Noko is hilarious.
Yeah.
And this is your first encounter with a Gestrel. And so Lune is very excited about this. Like, oh my gosh, Gestrels are real? This is super cool. And she's all, you know, interested in the Gestrels. And Mael thinks that Noko is hilarious. But they have this funny, like, insulting relationship where they just insult each other all the time. And that's how you show love to Noko, is to just, like, call him stupid or short or ugly or whatever. And then he does the same back, and they think it's funny. And so, but also, Noko's the one you can like purchase stuff from, but you have to beat him first at a fight. So to get his respect, you have to beat him.
He has certain things for sale normally, but they're hidden items.
They're
for
rare,
sale if you beat him in a fight.
Yeah. So, that's right. That's right. So there's extra stuff, but if you want it, you got to fight him.
I believe in this case it's a picto or a weapon. I can't remember which, but it's usually one of the two.
Yeah.
It's usually like a rare
It's something
weapon
you
or-
want.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah.
So it's always worth it to fight him, and of course he gets stronger as the game goes. But yeah, if you beat him up, then he gets all excited, like, "Wow, you're a good fighter!" And I looked into his language too. They speak the weirdest language.
It's really interesting.
It sounds French, and then
There's
it
certain English
doesn't
words
sound
that
French.
appear to
Then
be
it sounds English.
Yeah.
It sounds Spanish. It sounds so. My understanding is that this is just an amalgamation. It's a made-up language, but it's along the lines of. Have you ever seen Despicable Me?
I haven't.
There's
actually,
the minions, the little yellow minion guys.
Yeah.
The Illumination logo people now. They speak sort of the same language. I think Noko and the minions could communicate because the minions have some screwy, also Latinized with some English elements, like language that they speak with each other, and that seems to be more or less the case with these little gestrels as well. They speak a language that everyone just understands, I guess, but when we listen to it as the player, it is an absolute mess of a language. Like I know a decent amount of French, but I speak Spanish fluently, and of course I speak English. And I'm picking up words here and there, but I don't understand the grammar structure or any of that. But I would guess that they flesh some of that out for the game. But it's really funny and it's really interesting.
It's good stuff.
I just love it. And then of course,
I had a couple of notes on the scene between Gustave and Maëlle when they meet up in the manor.
Okay.
Not like a ton, but I just appreciated the scene a lot because he is obviously feeling just like so guilty and just totally embarrassed.
Yeah.
That he abandoned her there, that he like watched her being picked up and carried away by someone he didn't know.
Right.
And like didn't do anything. And he's supposed to be the guardian here, right? She's only like, what, 16?
16, yeah.
And, he's 32, so he's like twice her age.
Yeah.
I mean, quite literally twice her age. And is supposed to be kind of like a foster father, and he totally failed in his like responsibility to her. And he can't even get the words out. He's so embarrassed.
Yeah.
And I appreciated how understanding she was. That like, given the circumstances and given how awful it was, like that it's not even a question. Like she just forgives him,
right,
and accepts him,
and also understands that even if he tried to do something, he probably couldn't have done anything.
Yeah, right. He probably couldn't have done anything anyway, necessarily. Yeah. And this just struck me as somebody who, and I think everybody deals with this, but you sort of have an image of yourself. And you see your own weaknesses and your own shortcomings, and you're embarrassed about certain things, certain qualities of your personality or faults or flaws that you have. You're very hyper aware of them. And often other people just totally don't view us in that way. And so like you're imagining what you'll say and it's just like so awful. And this is the only prism of like understanding of the world we have is right here. So the way we see ourselves, it's sometimes hard to imagine other people. They're not living our experience, so they see us the same way. Of course they don't.
No, not even close.
And so,
but you imagine that everyone is judging you all the time. And you imagine that everyone knows all your secrets, and that everyone is constantly judging you for it. And the truth is 95% of the time that's not true.
No. And even if they did know it, they would have a totally different view of the context.
Especially if they knew and loved you. You know, like they
would consider context that you don't excuse yourself for. And that's right. I know that we're
harsher on ourselves than other people are on us.
And I just appreciated that she was understanding of all of that. Yeah. That they were able to bond. She makes a joke about how he smells. Like
that's right.
So it's a really sweet scene, and I really, really liked that. But also the name of this monster who is helping her.
Oh, right.
The curator. I think that's important to keep in mind too.
So in a museum, a curator is the one who kind of like is in charge of all of the art, basically selecting art, purchasing art, what to display, what needs to be repaired. A curator is the person who does that.
Yeah.
And in this mansion, it's kind of like a museum. You mentioned all those paintings around. It's like, well, he might be the one who is selecting / imbuing with magic some of these paintings,
Yeah.
And that's his job. It's his job. And somehow we just know his name. He breathed it into our minds, and we just know it.
Immediately begins taking care of her.
That's right.
Within that role too.
That's right. Yeah.
So like,
as the curator. That's very interesting.
So like Mael shows up, and it's just an immediately like, well, obviously somebody picked her up,
right?
Brought her somewhere.
It's kind of fuzzy.
This curator is, caring for her. So like, all very, very interesting as part of the unraveling of context that like fills this in more and more and more. So
also there's the halfway betrayal of Luna that he kind of committed earlier on, would mean that, let's say they went to this place and Mael wasn't there, right?
Yeah.
And like there's got to be an element of relief as well, that like I'm not just screwing up the mission that Luna otherwise, that I didn't disobey protocol for nothing, right?
Right.
And there's a lot of factors at play here for why it's a moment of relief, but also of some forgiveness and some, okay, I'm going to recommit myself to like helping you out, and we're definitely going to stay together this time, And, they're all going to hold. So as they all kind of get together and move along, we exit the flying waters through a giant meadow with one flower at the center of it.
Yeah.
And this flower really sticks out to Gustav. Everybody kind of is admiring the beauty. This is something that's constant throughout the game, is that everywhere they go, all the characters take a moment to just like look at how beautiful everything looks, right? Yeah. Just like this is just a gorgeous, breathtaking place. This is no different. And Gustav walks to the center of this valley where there is a rose, and this rose, it looks just like the rose that he gave Sophie. In fact, he kind of has a flashback to that. Like, well, he's like, can't be, obviously, but is this the same rose? Like, how did it get here? Why is it here? Why is this one single rose growing in the midst of a field of flowers that are not roses? And it's intentionally placed right in the very center. So he's kind of curious about that. And so he goes around and he just picks it right from the ground. So in doing so, you kill the flower when you pick it, but you get to carry it with you. So that's cool. Plus and minuses both ways. But as soon as he picks it, all of a sudden this gigantic Nevron shows up, right? And so we have to fight the Nevron for a little bit. And Gustav, once again, like we're fighting. This Nevron is fighting us, literally fighting us, trying to kill us. And in the last moment, Mael stops because she feels like the Nevron is talking to her or something like that. And she can't she approaches, she walks right in front of it, and she doesn't try to kill it or anything. And Gustav is really upset with her. He's like, what was that? Like, you're like, once again, just like when Luna is like, Gustav, if you do that, you're killing both of us, right? Because we need each other. Gustav is kind of doing the same with Mael. Like, if you're that reckless and you die, then we all need each other, right? If one of us becomes reckless and does something stupid, then we all suffer for it, right? We're all going to die if we can't stay together. And Mael's like, I'm sorry, I don't know why. And the Nevron stays alive and jumps away and runs away. So they don't kill it. And Mael says, it just seemed familiar to me somehow, right? So as soon as she like looked into its eyes and saw that it was protecting the flowers, right? I think Luna or somebody mentions, I think he's mad that you stole that flower. It only attacked us after you took the flower. I think Mael says that one.
Yep.
And it's like, well, Nevrons are, first off, more complicated than they thought, is what they're slowly learning. But also that Mael says that she recognized something familiar in this particular Nevron that she couldn't quite put her finger on. And then, of course, it escapes, and they just hope it doesn't come back. But that's one of the more interesting moments, because after this, as soon as we leave the Flying Waters, the next time we go to a camp is the first in a series of nightmares that Mael has. And she is starting to have these like crazy, crazy dreams where she is seeing things that she does not know how to make any sense of. But basically her dreams are all in black and white, which we've already established as somewhat significant. But the first one that she has is basically just her like trapped, like not being able to do anything and just screaming at the injustice of something. You don't really know. It's just bits and pieces. But she has more of these nightmares as the game progresses. But the first one, in her dream, she's surrounded by fire and facing off against a man with a sword. Now we see the expedition-clad Mael, and she's covered in blood, holding a white ribbon and screaming in agony right in front of the paintress, or before the paintress. A 33 above the paintress's head. And so it's like, is this foreshadowing? Is this something that happened? Is this something that's happening? And just don't really quite know what to make of it. But we end on, basically, and I think this is a pretty good place to end it here, is leaving the flying waters and Mael having these really disturbing nightmares that she wakes up in a cold sweat and can't sleep because of.
Yeah. Only a couple things to add. The boss here, I can't remember if it's Goobo or Go-Boo or something like that.
The giant Nevron?
I'm not sure if the name is actually significant or not. But at the end of that fight, she starts walking up to it, and she's like going to put her hand on it.
Yeah.
And then Gustav's like, "What are you doing?" And like interrupts.
What was that?
And
after
then
it jumps away.
It starts jumping away, and he's like, shooting.
Oh, that's right. He tries to shoot it. And Luna is like,
we're not going to learn anything if you just kill everything.
Because she's here to learn
stuff.
She's not here to actually accomplish the goal. And Gustav is also here for different reasons. Yeah.
So anyway, Mael says there is something familiar about it.
Yeah.
So she saw that monster, and she's like, something feels really familiar about this monster. You got to put a bookmark in this for later. But there is an explanation for this.
Right.
We're just going to have to get to it at another time. So it's another one of those mysteries that, we'll have to wait for an answer to. But she recognizes that monster. And that monster is not aggressive on sight necessarily. It's not something that just decided to kill them. It only did it because they came and picked the flower. Right. So it's like it's a guardian of this area. It's kind of like, don't mess with this.
Okay. I think we have to find out its name because you just said something very interesting. So hold on.
It's like Go-Boo, I believe, something like that.
Just yesterday, I watched the movie Castle in the Sky.
Great movie.
Yes. And in it, there is a giant robot-looking thing that is very fond of flowers and that picks the flowers. And you see the tiny flower in its massive fingers as it's walking around. And that is, of course, made by what is in Japanese called Studio Ghibli, but
Ghibli,
the Goblu and Gibli.
I see where you're going.
I wonder if this is even a callback to Castle in the Sky, to a Studio Ghibli movie. One of the most beautiful and influential of Miyazaki's movies. So many video games have like a basis in Castle in the Sky, not the least of which would be like Breath of the Wild. But basically, a world, this beautiful other world with these giant robots that take care of flowers and stuff.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah,
Once you mentioned the name, I was like, I wonder if that's relevant.
We had talked about Dark Souls earlier and whether that was an influence. And then Undercode, I believe, had said that the flags kind of function as like bonfires do.
You're right. It's just like Dark Souls.
In Dark Souls.
That's right.
Or they had So maybe there is influence there, but So anyway, Mael recognizes this monster Go-Blu. It's familiar to her.
Yeah.
So that was one, and then I wanted to talk a little bit about the. These are my last notes. So about the nightmare, Mael's nightmare.
Okay.
So you see a woman running towards a figure standing in a wooded area that's on fire. And we see kind of these runes on his blade, right? Kind of etched into the blade. They're kind of glowing.
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
And then there's a dead figure lying face down in the grass.
Yep.
You see his face very briefly. And then the woman approaching is sobbing, obviously someone close to her. They all three look like expeditioners.
Yeah.
Possibly
that's right.
from another expedition before this.
Yeah.
She looks at that figure with the sword, who it appears, the implication here is killed this guy on the ground, and then faces off. She draws her sword against this guy, and the two of them are facing off. That's then when it cuts away to Mael holding the white cloth and then like falling on her knees in front of the paintress and screaming.
With the number 33,
Yeah. So just some flashes there. These are things that we won't get more context on till later, but it's sort of foreshadowing some things. And then in the campsite discussion right after this, after you leave this area, this is between Mael and Gustav.
Can I just talk about the mechanics of the campsite for a minute?
I love the campsite.
So good.
Yeah.
And I believe something that this is, I think this may have actually been taken from Final Fantasy 15, at least in some way. Although I really like, it's the same design for the camp every time.
Yeah. Like the same area.
And the same
which
area.
doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Doesn't make sense. I don't care. Not a big deal. They take it with them. But there's a lot of places to explore in the campsite, and you have the opportunity to talk to everybody. And the first camp time, it's basically just you and Luna the first time.
Yeah.
But you speak, and the conversations are kind of awkward at first. But the more times you camp and the more opportunities you have to talk to the team, the more you can kind of feel people kind of getting closer. But even when he's first talking with Mael, it's kind of a little bit awkward at first as well.
Yeah.
And even sometimes he'll be like, hey, do you want to talk about it? And she's like, no. All right, well, fine, whatever. Or sometimes she's the one throwing rocks. Is that this one where she's throwing rocks?
One thing that I thought was really cool about this scene is in the beginning of the game, we noted that he was throwing the rocks with his right hand, which is his normal arm.
Yeah.
His mechanical arm is the left.
Yeah.
So he was throwing with his right arm,
sinister.
and she was like, "Oh, why don't you throw it with the other hand? You might get further.
You might actually
because
help,
implying that his mechanical arm might be stronger than his.
And
his
indeed,
right
he can do some cool stuff with it, as we see in battling.
In fact, I believe Sophie has him demonstrate that to that girl that was
That's
mad
right.
about her father going on an expedition or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, see, watch this. Whoa. You use the big, I think it's overcharge
Overcharge.
move, which is like his big, strong move.
Yeah.
But in this conversation, she's the one standing there. So it's like right on the back of that nightmare. She's just like looking out at the monolith and the paintress in the distance. Yeah. And he kind of comes up behind her, but he picks up a stone in his left hand.
I did notice that.
And he throws it. And it's a little bit of an awkward motion because obviously he's not left-handed.
Yeah.
But the rock goes a lot further because his arm is stronger.
Yeah.
And he says, still not close or something like that.
Still not good enough.
Still too far is what he says. And then she says, being out here isn't what I expected. As expected. Hey, are you okay? Actually, he didn't expect it either.
No, but he's trying to comfort her, and for that he has to play the role of the person who knows things that can help her when really he needs as much help as anyone.
There's some really pointed dialogue here that, again, I know we're putting a lot of bookmarks and things, but that's just the nature of understanding the story as you're going, and we're trying to point out the things that are going to be important. So she says, "Death out here is not like death in Lumiere, is it? I thought I was used to losing people, like a foster child, right? Because she is a foster child, so I thought I was used to it. But not like that on the beach. That man," and she's talking about the old guy who massacred everybody. He says, "Yeah, I know. Neverons we were prepared for, but not that, right?"
Right.
And
they have
now,
a different word for those. I can't remember what it is.
And now we finally found other survivors, and it's, that's the insidious thing about the Gamage. It's predictable, almost gentle. It makes Lumiere complacent and accepting. Right. But the Gamage is equally violent. Death is just as final.
Death just as final. Yeah.
So we kind of alluded to that in our last episode, how cruel and arbitrary and awful it is, despite the fact that it feels gentle. But like you see Sophie's face, like right as it's about to happen, and how freaking terrified and torturous it is.
Yeah.
They did a really good job of showing that.
They did.
And then she says, "I've been having nightmares." He says, "Yeah, me too. Look, if death approaches, I want you to run. And so I want you to run. Promise me. Like if that guy shows up or whatever, you just turn around and run away. Don't even try." And she's like, "You promised me too." He says, "Oh, don't worry about that. Like,
I'll be gone. You won't even see me. I'm already gone.
I'll be running
He's
so
there,
fast.
I'm gone." Yeah. And the joke of that, see, this might also, there's a little interaction that happens a little bit later on where Mael gets along better with Gestrels than she does with humans, kind of but their relationship, and that he just deeply apologized for having left her alone on the beach and not being able to help her. And he's already joking about it. Like I'm already like, I'm leaving you. Like
just like what happened.
you're going to be following me. I don't need to outrun the bear. I just need to outrun you, kind of thing, you know? Like I'm already gone. And it just happened, but their relationship is very much like that. They're constantly making fun of each other and making fun of themselves, or at least Gustav is. He's a little self-deprecating with his humor often, like talking about how, I used to like girls when I was young, but they didn't like me. No, they didn't like me, but I liked them. You know, just kind of, you know, talking about how much of a nerd he used to be. But their relationship is such that when Mael is meeting like Noko and they have a relationship purely based on insults, that Mael is like really likes it. Like it's like kind of it's like this is my guy, you know. Like we just make fun of each other. It reminds her of Gustav, you know.
It's like a game. It's like a game of wits.
Yeah,
you're kind of like it's a dance, so to speak. I mean, I think sometimes when people are flirting or they're kind of like starting to fall for each other, they'll do this a little bit.
Yeah,
but what it's really a demonstration of is your wit. And like that's attractive.
True.
Someone who's clever and who in the moment can kind of come up with something funny and witty to say. It kind of like demonstrates, if you're just thinking about this purely like genetically
it's a survival skill. It's a social
evolution
skill.
from an evolutionary standpoint. It shows like you have a sharp mind, and that's something I want in a partner. So. Not that that's what this is. This is not that kind of romantic banter, but
no.
When you pick your friends, when you pick your group that you want to belong to, you want people like who demonstrate those types of, that type of intelligence, that type of.
Which is funny because the word intelligent would not often be used to describe a gestural, but they are witty. They are witty. They're not intelligent the way we would think of it, but they're super witty with their insults.
I think there might be a little bit of a Kina from Final Fantasy IX situation going on here, where there's something below the surface. Because of the way they speak. And this is actually true for immigrants. This is a huge thing for immigrants. Anyone who's in another country, you're learning another language.
If you don't sound right, you sound dumb.
You don't have a mastery of the language.
Yeah.
So you're doing your best, but you sound stupid to people who are fluent, speakers. It's their mother tongue.
You sound like a child.
And it's not fair. It's really, really not fair because it's not a marker of your intelligence.
Right.
It's actually a mark of your intelligence that you have worked so hard to get where you're at in order to understand in another language.
Sure.
Like that's a marker of someone who's intelligent and working hard and has, they're a clever person, but it doesn't come across that way in the clumsy nature of your, lesser ability or mastery, I should say, of the language yet. And so that's a really, really hard thing. I've experienced that. My wife has experienced that being in this country for 8 years. When I went to Brazil and tried at the real beginner stage that I was at I felt so stupid.
Right.
All the time.
Because little 5-year-olds can go around and understand better than you can.
Their little toddler, our nephew, was like could express himself better than I could.
Right.
And it was so frustrating and so embarrassing. And obviously it shouldn't be. Like other people aren't judging you based on that. But like the longer you're there and once you like get into a working environment and you're meant to like do a job, these things are all factored in as as you're going through interviews and things like that.
Totally.
And it's biases kind of like maybe that they're not aware of. Maybe they are and they're just a cruel person, but maybe they're not. That determine whether or not they take you seriously in the workplace or whether you get that job. It's harder because as unfair as it is, they are judging you based on your intelligence on your mastery of language.
Right.
And that's not always correlated.
You're right.
At all.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of pointed out as we were going through Final Fantasy IX. Like Kina appears stupid or like a baser being and is sort of treated that way, but is actually living life in a more healthy way than anyone else.
That's a good point. I think Kina embodies a wisdom that is separate from maybe strict knowledge or even intelligence in a way, but it's a wisdom that kind of supersedes both. Right? It's like if you have an IQ of 170, like that doesn't mean that you have the wisdom of like how to live a good life, you know?
Yeah.
Like just because you're intelligent. So, or your IQ, your intelligence stat is you rolled a 20 in D&D and it's like, oh great, I'm intelligent now. Like, okay.
Yeah. But there might be something maybe kind of similar going on with gestrels, though. I think there's an element of humor. There's an element of physical humor, physical comedy that they're obviously going to use as we go into this next section, which is going to be the gestural village.
It's really funny.
Where they're meant to be
really
funny and they're all kind of focused on one thing.
And they're all serious about it. Saka patata.
But I felt that at least it would be worth bringing that up.
No, I thought that was
Mastery
good.
of
I'm glad you
language,
brought that up.
Does maybe not always correlated with
this is an equal sign, and this is the
the
dash.
little slash through the equals.
Does not equal. Yeah, that's pretty
anyway. Thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate it. I think we will for sure get through the end of Act 1 next time, so make sure you've played up to that point. But I'm loving the game. Definitely one of my favorites, especially in recent years, I would suppose.
Yeah. At the moment, it is my favorite game, but I have such a recency bias with these things.
Yeah, which is why I'm glad we're doing this a few months removed from like when the game came out.
When it first came out.
So there's at least some separation from your first time through the game and initial impressions. Get kind of a fresh start on it.
Yeah.
Chago Rob is saying, see you Sunday. I think I will actually be streaming more than one day this week for you guys because I need more than one sit-down session to get through enough game. Like, I think I played about 2 hours in the last stream, and I didn't get nearly to the end of Act 1.
Oh,
I
really?
got to this point. This is the point where I left
good.
off,
Well, I'm glad
which is why I kind of subtly, like, manipulated this conversation
so that it would
into being long
here.
enough to where it would end here. But
hey, that's a marker of intelligence.
I think that my wife's going to be working on Friday. So we got Thanksgiving this week, right? So I'm off today, which is Wednesday, and tomorrow. She's working Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I will try to stream all 3 of those days and make sure we get to the point we're supposed to get to. So anyway, that's for patrons, though. If you want to be a patron, go check it out. The link is in the description. It makes it possible for us to continue the show. Without the support, we wouldn't be able to do it. So thank you so much for those who support, and we'll see you next time. Peace.